Praise and thanks is due to Allah. We praise Allah, we seek assistance and forgiveness from Allah, and we seek refuge in Allah from our lower selves and from the wrongs that we sometimes commit. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم, Allah says in the Holy Quran, فاصبر إن وعد الله حق ولا تستخفنك الذين لا يوقنون. And patiently persevere, and do not let those who themselves lack faith and conviction shake your resolve when they themselves have no surety or security and firmness. So what I thought I'll just talk about today, seeing that we're getting back into the year now, and it's starting to pick up now in terms of your work and your activities and so on. And often when the stress is a lot and the anxiety is a lot, we forget that the tools we actually need to deal with that, Islam teaches us those tools, and one of those tools is sabr. But often in our community the word sabr is misunderstood as just patience. There's a bit more to sabr. The English does not qualify the word sabr. So I'm hoping that after I have given you a few verses and talk about those few verses in the Quran, that you have a better understanding of the meaning of sabr. And one of the ways, perhaps one of the best ways to learn this quality of sabr is to take away things that humanity needs, such as food, water, drink and sex. And therefore fasting becomes so important to develop this quality of sabr. Yes, the month of Ramadan is a very auspicious month, and we should spend the month in as much ibadah as possible. But we sometimes forget, we prepare for this month, a month is there, we give our best to the month, and then the month is gone, we revert back to our normal life. In fact, the sabr that we have learned in Ramadan, we should then now take into the rest of the year. So what Allah means by this is that often we find in life that we have certain ambitions and dreams and goals, and we are excited about that. If you can remember when you were a child, how you used to dream. I want to be a doctor, and I want to be this, and I want to be that. And nobody laughed at you, and even if they laughed, it didn't matter, because that comes from within you. And as socialization happened, we forget to dream. We forget that we can actually get the things that we want. And so if you should go now and you tell people, I'm almost 60 years old and I'm studying for my PhD, they'll say, no, but you're too old, and it's not possible, and all of these things. So people always want to try and steal your dreams. And often these people that are trying to steal your dreams, or as the Quran says, they don't have resolve themselves. They don't have faith in their own life themselves. And so that's the human weakness, is that instead of congratulating or encouraging somebody to continue with their dreams, we want to bring them down to our level. And then in another verse the Quran says, فَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ. Be patient about what they say. You'll often find that people say a lot of things. There's a lot of power in words. People will use words to harm you, to hurt you, or to bring you down. So one of the quality of sabr helps us with those kind of people. Just to kind of overlook that. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Then Allah reminds us also about our speech, talking about speech now. And Allah says, if you say that you have attained faith, then remain conscious of Allah, number one, and always speak with clarity, direct, to the point, and unambiguous, so that it's clear. It's what you see is what you get. That kind of quality of speech we need to develop. And if you do so, Allah says, Allah will rectify your deeds, Allah will overlook your shortcomings, and whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger has indeed achieved a mighty success. So there's not just reward in the relationships that you build with people and the quality of your engagements or your speech with them, but there's also reward that Allah will rectify your minor, your small deeds, your misdeeds. Then the Quran says, فَاصْبِرْ إِنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ إِنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ بِالْعَشِيِّ وَالْإِبْكَارِ. Patiently then persevere, for the promise of Allah is true, and ask forgiveness for your weaknesses, and celebrate the praises of your Lord in the evening and in the morning. So here Allah reminds us, when we have planted that seed, often we think we planted the seed, now tomorrow we expect an apple tree to grow and then we want to eat from the tree as well. But when we plant that seed, we have to realize that seed has to go through different seasons. It's going to experience winter, it's going to experience summer. And it depends on how strong that little tree that's coming out is to be able to manage these 4 different seasons. And the more it goes through those kind of difficulties, the stronger this tree will become. But that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so often when we put out something there, we've developed a goal, we need to put steps to those goals. They don't happen overnight. So Allah reminds us of having patience with things like that. And then Allah says, verily the promise of Allah is true. So sometimes when you have to wait so long for something to mature or to materialize, you lose faith. You're thinking, but is Allah accepting my dua? Is this actually going to work? Allah says, when you do the effort, then Allah meets you there. The universe has a habit of making room for people who know where they're going. It's even written in the Quran. So Allah says, Inna wa'dallahi haq. You have to believe that the promises of Allah is true, and you will get at the end of the day what it is that you're asking for. And then again, Allah says, like Allah mentions in the previous verse, and ask forgiveness for your weaknesses, right? So that Allah can forgive those weaknesses. So part of not being patient when it comes to planting the seed and waiting for it to mature is a weakness. Right? And so Allah says, ask for forgiveness for those weaknesses. And celebrate the praises of your Lord in the morning and the evening. So when the tree has developed and is bearing fruits for you, thank Allah for that. Right? Thank Allah in the morning and in the evening. Sometimes we focus on the things that we don't have in life instead of appreciating the little things that we do. And so the more we give appreciation for the things that we have and not for the things that we want, that is when Allah forgives us our weaknesses and gives us more. Then Allah says, فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ آثِمًا أَوْ كَفُورًا. Be patient with consistency with the decrees of Allah, and don't be overcome by those who are iniquitous and those who have no faith. Again, similar to the verse we've discussed previously, be patient with people. One of the things we teach in IPP is that you can't change people. You can't change the stimulus that comes to you. The only thing you can change is how you respond to that stimulus. And often in our response, we have to practice patience. You can't, you need to control your anger. You need to give yourself a gap moment before you respond, so you have contemplated about it, you've reflected on it, and then you give a response. And all of that requires patience. There was, some time back, there was a king. He had a couple of sons that could have taken over after him, but he didn't really feel that his sons were going to do a good job in looking after this place. And so he decided that he will make an announcement to all the youth in the village, and he gave each one a seed. And he says, go plant a seed and wait till it grows, right? And every time you will come and show me this plant, so I can see whose plant is now growing the biggest. And so this little boy, he also got his seed, and he planted it, and he nurtured it, and he was patient enough. His mother also helped him to nurture this, and every morning the first thing he would be up to go see if there's anything that came from this seed, and nothing happened. So after the first month, when they had to go and report back to the king, he had nothing to report about, and he was standing there kind of embarrassed because all the others are showing their trees and everything. And even after that, he went back again, just patiently nurturing the tree, until it was time again to report back to the king. And then the king said, who is this little boy in the back there, and where's your tree? So he says, well, I've been nurturing it, but nothing has come from it, but I'll keep on nurturing it. And so the king said, I've given you all seeds, but one of the seeds is a cooked seed. And because, all of the seeds were cooked seeds, and so you could not have possibly grown anything out of that. So all of you have been lying, that's showing me trees, and this little boy that has been waiting patiently for the seed to grow, he is the truthful one, and he's the one that I want to take the throne. So even though there was not going to be nothing coming from the seed, the patience was there. So sometimes also you ask for something or you work towards something, but Allah gives you rewards in many different ways. He was hoping that there will be a tree. He got a throne instead. So that's a good lesson for patience.